This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Say PTBN, have you heard them yet? Oh, but they're so marked out. Jenny and the Jams. Oh, but they're weird and they're wonderful. Oh, Jenny, she's really green. She's got electric boobs, the network too. You know I read it in the dirt. She's a hoe. Jenny and the Jams.
My gorgeous Jims, Matt, and Scott, and Drew. How are you guys tonight?
Good.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
We are well.
Band's back together again.
Yes. Back on the road.
Again.
I just wanted to let everybody know I have crossed a very dangerous junk food threshold where I am now ordering food, when I drive through somewhere, I'm ordering extra food to eat on the way home before I eat the food that I bought.
Like an appetizer?
Yes.
Okay.
Appetizer. Oof.
Is it like an entire meal in addition to your meal, or like a snack? Like cheese stick?
Yeah, so it'll be like at Wiener Schnitzel, I'll get mini corn dogs and an extra soda to eat on the way home.
Wow.
Not good.
And then what do you eat at home?
Oh, listen, they've got a Cuban dog right now.
Oh my God.
So it's Cuban mustard, Swiss cheese, pickle spear, and then you get it on a pretzel bun.
Oh.
So like 2 of those and another pack of mini corn dogs.
I'm so glad that we have the first
pandemic
PTB.
treating you well, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We have the first PT beer on the Buddy Rose Blowaway diet. That's awesome.
How much weight have you gained in quarantine, Drew?
Listen. I'm down 10 pounds.
What? You're a ridiculous person. I refuse to believe that.
That's not how
You're
this
eating
works.
double corn dogs. You're not losing 10 pounds.
No, this is why I do DJ Tanner style crash diets. So I just won't eat for like a couple days at a time, and then I exercise a whole bunch.
Do you throw up? Do you have an eating disorder? Is that when you
No.
You have buckets in the closet like the ABC After School special.
Jesus, what are we doing?
I'm sorry.
Drew, of your two favorite wrestlers, you're supposed to strive to look like Luger, not look like Stan.
Not Stan Hansen. I know.
I'm highly offended that you're eating that way and losing weight.
I know. Well, yeah. I'm doing it not a healthy way, as DJ Tanner proved.
Well, it doesn't matter.
I'm gonna get off an exercise bike and pass out at the gym. So
you're gonna start singing "I'm so excited" at the end of the episode. I'm so excited.
Oh my God. All right, so for our selection tonight, we actually did get a hidden gem show that was not anything to do with Herb Abrams, and thank God. I forget.
Unfortunately,
who picked this one out for us?
I can't remember.
Let's say Matt.
Okay.
Yeah, Drew,
all right.
We'll give you the credit for this.
All right, so on the
cocaine done in the show was done off camera, not on camera, like Herb was doing.
So on the award-winning WWE Network, we are going to the Hidden Gem section, and then we are going to All-Stars. No, what was it? All-Timers? Jesus Christ, what was the subcategory? Help me out. Yes, that's what it feels like.
I think it was
I just
Hall
typed
of Famous or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I just typed in
search.
Superstation.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I did too, actually.
That
Yeah.
defeats the purpose of finding it in the hidden gem section.
I'm working on it. Don't yell at me.
All right.
I think it's Great TV. Is it Great TV or? I think it's Hall of Famers because literally everybody in
Yeah,
it is.
I think you're right.
We'll go to the Hall of Famers section, subcategory, in this maze on this app, and find the superstars on the Superstation from February 7th of 1986. And that's what we're watching. There's 4 matches on the card, and they are unique in that they were voted on by the fans as dream matches. Have any of you ever seen this show before?
Yes, I have.
I have not. I remember them promoting it when I was a kid. I was probably around 12, but I don't remember seeing it. But I remember, I do remember where the genesis of this comes from, because it was probably November of '85, right around as they were really hot and heavy with the Starcade build, that the NWA or Crockett was doing like a postcard thing where, you would mail postcards into the Superstation or to that building in Atlanta, and with what you would consider dream matches you would want to see. And I think the matches that get the most like tally were the ones they would do. So I think they did like 8 weeks worth of mailings like throughout all of November and all of December. And then in January they announced when the show would be and what the matches would be. So I think that's how they did that. It was like a Christmas like holidays thing. I think that's how they did that.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's a cool idea. I like that idea. I wish it was a thing still, honestly. Drew, you said you saw it?
Yeah, so I mean, not at the time, but
Not at the time.
I've since seen the whole show, and this is actually there's a little bit of stuff missing from this edit. We don't get a couple of the promos and stuff, and we also don't get the entrance of Magnum TA. Just a lot of footage of Magnum TA riding a motorcycle with Willie Nelson playing.
Oh
in the
shit!
background.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
it's
great.
fast train to Georgia or Georgia fast train. That Willie
Damn it!
Nelson
Now I
song.
want to see that.
Yeah,
I bet that's
yeah.
majestic as fuck.
Oh, it sure is.
First time for you though, Matt, right?
Yeah, I've never seen this.
Okay.
Me too.
All right. So since there are 4 matches, we're each gonna kind of take you through one. I am up first, but we start the show with Magnum TA and somebody named Linda Curry. Any clue on who Linda Curry is, guys?
No.
No.
Steph Curry's mom.
At first I thought it was the woman that Lord Alfred kept molesting at the Wrestling Classic the previous November, but that was what's her face, the other one that Vince did coke with in the limo. It was a different
that narrows
person.
it down.
That's true. The ref, somebody's mom, I don't know. But yeah, no, I had no idea who this was. Probably somebody that worked for like the TBS or something, or one of the local
that was
stations.
my thought too, something like that.
Some TV. They always made deals with like the TV people.
The only information really you can find on her is that she was murdered in 1994
What?
by
Tremendous.
her husband.
Holy shit.
The guy with the blow-away diet with the murder.
Wow.
Yeah, she was murdered by her husband Paul. Nicotine poisoning.
Holy! What he shove a cigarette down her throat?
Yeah, I don't know.
Carton of cigarette. Smoke 'em.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know what nicotine poisoning means, but she was murdered in 1994, and she was some kind of a head honcho at Southern California Edison, which is the local electric company here, who was responsible for a couple years ago the biggest wildfire in California history.
Wow.
We had to evacuate for a week.
Wow. Okay. So lots about her then. More than I expected.
But
Wow.
no reason
I
why
love the
she's.
show.
But yeah, no reason why she's.
Was she representing the electric company on this show? We powered the lights that light the ring, so.
Yeah.
Pay the bill or I'm snapping this shit.
Well, she was very excited to be there. Seemed kind of taken with Magnum, if I'm being
Yeah, of
honest.
course.
Wow.
Who wouldn't be?
Him in that tuxedo, come on.
Right? He was. Oh, he did look real good. He was. He grew on me. At first, he was sort of, I thought, wooden, and I kind of laughed at him a little bit. But as the show goes on, I think he gets better. Like he loosens up and he gets better at talking to people. Anyway, we'll see that as we go. Linda's hair is intense. It's very blonde and big and poofy. He throws it down to Tony and David Crockett ringside, also in tuxedos, looking nice. Tony's mustache on point. They tell us, they run us down the card. They tell us that these matches were voted on by fans, and there are 20-minute time limits on them, which was disturbing for me, but we'll keep going with it. Ric Flair and Garvin will be in the main event. And then Jim Cornette announces our first match. It is for the Tag Team Championship, and it is the Midnight Express against Rock and Roll Express. How you guys feeling about this being on a dream card? Does this feel like it should be there?
Oh
It's
yeah,
a dream
easily.
come
Very
true.
much so.
I mean, they were next to the one team in the next match. They were easily the two best tag teams in the South. Period. Of all the promotions.
And this is their first high profile match too. I mean, a televised match at least, because they just started feuding at the beginning of the year in 1986. So
I
Yeah.
wondered how fresh this was, honestly.
It was very fresh.
very
Yeah.
fresh
Because-
for the territory.
Yeah, the Rock and Rolls were around for most of '85 in Crockett. I think they first won the tag straps in July against the Russians, against Ivan and
Yes.
Nikita.
Mhm.
The Midnight spent most of '85 in World Class working for Fritz,
Yeah.
feuding with the Fantastic. So they arrived on the scene probably right after Starrcade. They weren't at Starrcade, right? No, I don't think
They were Starrcade
They were
85.
in that
Yeah.
Miss Atlanta Lively.
Miss
thing,
Atlanta
right?
Lively.
Oh, the Atlanta Lively. That's right. Okay, so they've been around for a little bit, but I guess them and the Rock and Rolls hadn't crossed paths yet. The Rock and Rolls were still feuding with the Russians. So, yeah, no, this was definitely fresh, Jenny. Very fresh.
Hmm. And you could feel it too because there was a quick hot start, no fucking around to begin with. Crowd is in love with rock and roll, as they should be, and then they get. I mean, like it's pretty chaotic in that first few minutes. Like the first 5 minutes of this match is all four guys in the ring a lot. They're on the outside a lot. They're chasing each other, and everybody's just on point. They look awesome. Like it's, you don't even know really where to go. And Tony and David are like kind of fighting each other on the commentary because there's so much to call and so much happening, which is great for me. Like I'm all about it. It was awesome. This ref is Pee Wee Anderson, like the tiniest ref I've ever seen. I don't know that I've ever seen Pee Wee Anderson before.
Really? Surely
don't know
you
that I
have.
have. If
yeah,
I have, I haven't
Randy,
noticed.
don't call me Pee Wee Anderson.
He was a
Hey,
big
I-
Mid-South guy. This might have been one of his first things in Crockett because he was watching the 84 and 85 Mid-Souths. He was definitely a Watts ref for a long time. So
He looks a little different in the 90s.
Mhm.
But I guarantee you've seen him before, Jenny.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I
If
don't
you've
recognize
watched
him.
WCW in the '90s, you know him
Well,
for sure.
I mean, okay. His name wasn't Pee Wee though.
it was always
Randy
Randy,
Anderson.
it was
Right.
Randy
Randy
Anderson,
Anderson.
but they
Right.
they call him Pete.
Right. Okay. He looks like a Pee Wee. Just saying. Anyway, Bobby is awesome. Okay, Bobby to me is the MVP of this match, and he takes most of the bumps and then gets so much great offense. That is also paired with Dennis, who I don't know that I've seen before.
Ooh, Dennis Condrey.
I
Yeah,
love Dennis Con.
Oh,
he likes to pull hair
He does.
in this match.
Out of chest hair. But
Yes.
he's a hell of a worker. Drew's right. He's a great worker. I always liked him compared to the later Midnight Express. I was a big Condrey guy. I was.
I did like him quite a bit in this too, and I feel like Bobby's better, but I did really enjoy him in this match. They have good chemistry, and they really are just both real fired. They're all four real fired up. I mean, there's a lot of emotion here and like tension and like I feel like they hate each other and it's good. Like it really adds a lot. Let's see. Cornette, of course, is always trouble on the sidelines and keeps getting involved, slapping Gibson with the belt several times. They'd been keeping Gibson away from the tag for a long while, just working him over like really well. And then finally, after Bobby misses off the top, Gibson goes to Roland and tag Ricky in, and then it just went. It was a free for all. All of them get back in the ring, and the ref bump starts happening. He gets hit, and then he falls back in the ropes, and then he's not big enough to go over the ropes, so he has to kind of like push himself over. It was hilarious. Like it was the worst bump I've ever seen. And then somebody gets hit with the racket, of course. I think it's Gibson. It gets muddled there towards the end. Cornette drags the ref up to call when he puts beautiful Bobby over Ricky for the win. So anyway, the ending was wild, and our story is just beginning. So there's a lot more to do here, and I like the ending quite a bit actually. David Crockett is outraged by this. He was quite entertaining. Scott, what did you think about this one?
I enjoyed this match quite a bit. 16:27 your match time for that one, so it was getting close to the time limit. The best thing I liked about this card is we had such a different dichotomy of workers and different styles of matches, because the tag match we're going to talk about shortly is way different than the tag match we had here. 4 expert workers. I mean, and these 4 just get better. Now they did feud. Let's put it this way. Let me amend something that we mentioned earlier. This was their first match in. Maybe this is their first big match in Crockett, but these 2 are definitely no strangers to each other because they feuded big time in Mid-South in '84, in Watts territory. So they know each other well, but this is their first rodeo under the Crockett banner. But they wrestled a ton in Mid-South in '84. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was never the biggest Rock and Roll Express fans when I was a kid. Just because my favorite babyface team is the guys that we're about to talk to about in a minute. So I love the Midnight Express, and there's no shame in having love for the great Bobby Eaton. Bobby Eaton goes down with Arn and like Billy Gunn and a couple other guys as arguably some of the best tag team guys ever. Bobby Eaton may not have had the singles charisma, though he did have a few good matches. He wrestled Flair, I think, at a Clash for the world title, early 90s, I think.
He had a good singles run, like 90, 91. Yeah.
Right before the Dangerous Alliance started.
Yeah.
He and Arn had some good matches too.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. No, they absolutely did. So there's no way we will have any shortness of praise for Bobby Eaton, and I'm a big Dennis Condrey guy. I love Sweet Stan, good announcer in WWF in the 90s, but I will always love the Bobby Eaton, Dennis Condrey, Midnight Express combo. I love this match. It was a lot of fun. It was back and forth. I was expecting more throwaway-ish wrestling, but I find, you always realize that Crockett's was not that kind of promotion. They weren't like the WWF where you would have, oh, look at this awesome match you've never seen before, and it's 5 minutes of, Dino Bravo bear hugs and other such garbage. So you're actually getting teams that actually want to wrestle, even though this was a throwaway show. It was taped on February 2nd, so this aired 5 days later at the Omni. Incidentally, I just found on the history.wwe.com, before we continue, there are some dark matches I want to mention because there are some people we like in these matches. Ron Bass fought the Barbarian to a draw. That might have been a fun little power match. Baron von Raschke, oh, that's terrible, defeated the Italian, the Italian Stallion. Thank God that wasn't aired. I'm giving that one right to Suze.
Nobody voted for that.
No. Yes.
No.
That was right in Suze's wheelhouse. I was giving you that.
Yeah.
Jimmy Valiant defeated our current NWA television champion, Jenny's lovely Arn Anderson via DQ. So no double A on the show, which is sad. But he was on the card earlier. So anyway, I just wanted to throw those out there. Yeah, no, I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the match a lot because it's two tremendous athletic teams. And when it comes to any tag team situation, I just love watching Bobby Eaton work.
Me too.
He's just that damn good.
He is.
The pride of Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah. He has some stiff moves in this fucking match.
He really was. And when he wasn't the only one. He was the only one.
I mean, they all were, but to me, he was a standout. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, echoing what Scott said, this was really good. And not to be, old man yells at cloud, but, like, you just don't see tag team wrestling like this anymore.
No.
You really don't. And
No, you don't.
Just two teams who know each other really well, going out there doing their thing. And the other thing, too, is the title change. Like, this was in an era where you really didn't see title changes on free TV all that often. And I was fully expecting, like, either a dusty finish or a DQ or a count out or something like that. So that was a pretty big deal for 1986. But just a great tag match.
Drew?
Yeah, great match. As far as Bobby Eaton goes, so Scott, to kind of throw my hat into the NWA Mount Rushmore, Bobby Eaton would be my fourth face on the Mount Rushmore.
I would not argue on that. We're probably gonna do a tag Mount Rushmore over on the Saturday special. We'll probably do a tag team Mount Rushmore too. So keep that in. Probably do a tag one.
Just because he was such a constant from late 85 all the way until, really all the way until, with just a couple exceptions, until like 98, but certainly through the changeover to WCW. But always a constant, always great, and always a guy that'll just do whatever you want. But this match is awesome. It's almost like I think we kind of take the Midnight Express versus Rock and Roll Express feud for granted, because every match of theirs is awesome to some degree, and there's just so many of them that it gets hard to distinguish them. This one is cool because I think what we see kind of throughout the night is that all the matches kind of play off the idea of it's a TV show, so it's on TV, so it's a 20-minute time limit, and that's why the start of this feels so frantic, and you get like the Stan Hansen start of the match where the heels attack the baby faces before the bell, which that didn't happen too much in the Rock and Roll Express Midnight Express matches. So I love that they were just going super fast the whole time, because they got to work within this 20-minute time limit, which that's still a lot of time, but it's not what they're used to, so I really appreciated that. There was a lot of blood smeared on the ring and on the floor, and I'm just curious, like, I wonder which one of the dark matches, I guess it must have been one of the dark matches that the guys bled that much, because that was serious. There's a shot of, I think it was Ricky Morton down on the floor, and there's this huge blood stain across the entire, these just smeared across the floor. So I don't know, that was interesting. Now, David Crockett is so awesome.
A sentence no one has ever said.
Oh, I certainly never did.
Oh, David Crockett is so good at commentary because it's such a pure representation of just his love of wrestling and just how truly and legitimately excited he is at seeing his favorites beat up on the bad guys, or how mad he gets when the bad guys win. Him screaming him screaming whip him like a dog is one of his all-time calls. And his voice starts to get really deep and guttural. Unbelievable.
I'm not gonna argue with you. I liked him in the show.
He's so awesome.
He's funny. He's unconventional, I feel like. Look, I don't want to say unprofessional. I just mean like you're right that fandom shines through so much.
Yeah. Yeah,
um
it's cool. But yeah, this match was awesome. Robert Gibson, I should mention, always awesome selling.
yes.
And you know what? The more matches you watch, I mean the the narrative is, oh, it's Ricky Morton. Ricky Morton is always the face in peril, but Robert Gibson is like the face in peril just as much, if not even more than Ricky Morton is. And
He
doesn't
was for
quite.
most of this match.
Yeah. And like so many of their matches, and he doesn't quite have that same level of connection that Ricky Morton has. But man, he is so good.
Mhm.
If we can touch on the ring again for a bit, you have these gaudy ass Superstation logos all over the ring.
Yeah.
Very big.
For an NWA ring, like you never saw stuff on the mat. That was just weird. And I'm pretty sure that ring mat was used prior to the dark matches. Like they flew it
Yeah.
in from the Superdome or something.
Well, we will talk about the Superdome later from
Yeah, we
Mr.
will.
Happy Pants there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I that was weird when I saw the Superstation logos on that's fucking weird. Like
Yeah.
I never saw them do that, but it's almost like they were pimping the fact that it was a Superstation show, or maybe TBS kicked some scratch into it. I don't know, but it was very weird.
I don't
Very
know.
unlike
It
them.
didn't bother me really all that much.
Oh no, it didn't bother me. It was just a little unnerving because you don't usually see the NWA put anything on the canvas. That's all. It was just very
And
strange.
did the ring seem smaller to anyone else too? Or was it
Yes.
just me?
I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it felt like it was kind of small.
Huh. Yeah, interesting. You know, one thing I did want to add is that this is, and I've heard other people say this, so it's not, it's I'm not coming up with it, but this is kind of like the proto Clash of the Champions,
Mhm.
where
Yeah.
you didn't see. I mean, this is like a big card that you did not see on free TV. So this was a big deal. This was airing 6:05 on Saturday night, and you get a world title match, you get a tag team title change, you get a national title match. I mean that's a big deal, and it's kind of cool to see. Maybe kind of the seeds of Clash of Champions being sown right here. I don't know like what the ratings were or anything for it, but
I actually have that. It did a 3-2 on TBS.
Okay, I don't know if that's good or not.
That was the number I saw, so I wrote it down.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, so there you go.
I love
Yeah,
how
so-
you have no frame of reference for that.
No, I don't.
Is that ready?
Question asked, question answered.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, that's cool. I wonder if if they had like an idea for this, even back then. I don't know.
All right, so we're moving on. We're going back to Magnum and Linda. Linda is amazed by the fans in the crowd and how excited they are to cheer and how much they like to boo the guys that they don't like.
Was this Linda's first time in public?
I think so.
He let her
I
out of the
think Linda
home.
might have been a robot, but bless her heart, she's dead. So I don't want to speak ill of her. Magnum kind of loosening up, still kind of nervous. It was a short little segment, so nothing too hard for him to get through. Next up, we have Nikita and Ivan versus the Road Warriors. Drew, I think you wanted to walk us through this match.
I did. Yeah, so cool matchup on paper. You have the two power teams in the territory, the Road Warriors and the Russians. This match, it's short and quick. It's what, 6 minutes long or something. The finish is Baron von Raschke just kind of wandering out to the ring, wandering in the ring, and just kind of slowly attacking Hawk right in front of the referee. So, no, I don't remember Baron von Raschke being aligned with the Russians at all. I thought he was always aligned with Paul Jones' army until he turns face. So I don't know what the connection there is. I don't remember that. But I mean, there's not a lot to this match. I do think it's cool. You guys know how much I love Ivan Koloff. This is another example of like him. I mean, always, he always will take a beating from someone, and it's very rare when he gets the upper hand. And like he used his Russian chain on Hawk, and Hawk does this totally absurd gesture and hand motion when Ivan's choking him. But you can see just how good Ivan is. Like he's the Road Warriors, they're pros, but they're the Road Warriors, and Ivan is like physically moving them around into placement for some stuff throughout this match. It's really cool to see. Nikita hung in there. I honestly thought the Road Warriors did show him up a little bit. I mean, Nikita's awesome, but Hawk and Animal, that's hard to live up to. So that's I didn't take like move by move notes. This was cool. I thought it was a really cool change of pace, and compared to certainly the previous match, but even the two matches to come. This show is so cool because it's essentially like an NWA greatest hits, like a Crockett greatest hits. It's such like a great feeling show. You have the silly interviews and the great feuds and all your favorites. I wish Arn and Magnum and Jimmy Valiant had been on the main card.
I knew you were going to bring up Jimmy Valiant.
Yeah, of course.
One of those things doesn't belong, sir.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Arn isn't that good compared to the other two, I guess.
God.
Yeah.
Wow. What was Drew's last podcast?
Wow. Or she.
But no, yeah, this was. I think this is cool, and it served a good purpose. Just giving the crowd something different.
Imagine losing by DQ because freaking Baron Van Raschke or whatever the fuck comes in your fucking match. Like, get the fuck out. Oh my god.
Dear.
Scott, what did you think about this one?
You were very close, Drew. The time was 6:55. Obviously, I love the Road Warriors, but this match was a little sloppy. But the Road Warriors are known for just bludgeoning people. Didn't matter who was in front of them. So obviously, you're talking about two teams very different than the two teams we just saw before. Ivan, Nikita, and I'm a big Ivan fan too, Drew, and Nikita for that matter. And now you have just two power guys just hitting each other. And speaking of people that just left the home, did Baron Von Raschke even realize this was the right match he was supposed to run in on?
I was wondering.
No, he didn't.
Because he might have like missed his cue or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's called Sundowners.
No, you just get lost.
Yeah. Where's the pinochle table? No. Yeah, it's a little. This one's a little rough. But it is a dream match. You have two power, four just total power guys. Crowd was hot for him, except for the shitty ending. But I think when you see all these talent and all these guys going against each other, I think you're going to see a ton of shitty endings. That's the unfortunate thing about having great great wrestlers and great teams facing each other in shows like this. You're not going to get really great endings. Yeah. And this was not a great ending. But overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good, fun power match.
What about you, Maddie? Any happy endings?
No, this was not good. This was very not good.
Oh, Linda.
No. Ruined by 85-year-old Baron Von Raschke.
Yeah.
Coming in from the nursing home paddy wagon to drop an awful elbow on somebody.
It's like those buses with the fucking lip.
Jesus God, this was awful. And
God.
I don't know if you guys mentioned it, but did you see the part at the end when Hawk trips over thin air?
Yes.
Oh, I missed that.
And they try to play it off as Baron Von Raschke tripping him. The only issue was Baron Von Raschke was all the way across the ring, and unless he's Mr. Fantastic, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
I love it when people trip. I pop.
But
that.
this was not good.
Well, I didn't hate it as much as you did. I mean, definitely not even in the same conversation as the first match, but everybody is just ginormous and huge, so there is that just satisfaction in watching these just big dudes go at each other. I said that for you, Tim Capel. And
that
then,
makes the Baron von Raschke interference even worse because he looks decrepit, all hunched
yes,
over.
He really does.
He does.
Yeah,
It's
and
bad.
him attacking Hawk of all people is.
Yeah.
Mr. Burns, the wrestler.
I think it only went 6 minutes because they could barely even make it through
6:55.
minutes. Yeah, they were.
Well, Baron had to be home before Matlock came on, so.
Yes. I was waiting for somebody to say Matlock. Diagnosis murder.
Jack.
Yeah.
Diagnosis murder.
You took a wrong turn. Go around. Handicap parking's over here.
Where's my blue plate? It's a $1.99 quarter pounder with cheese. Yeah, rough.
All right. Well, so we had one good one and one not so good one, unless you're Drew. And so we still have half a show to go. But before we get there, I want to say how cool it is that this week the Place to Be Nation reached 1 million downloads on Podbean. Scott, that's amazing.
It is. Yeah. When I got that email, I was legitimately floored. I'm sure JR and I will talk more about it on next week's this coming week's episode of the Place to Be podcast. But I mean, I'm legitimately touched, and I want to thank you three and many others who have helped to build this from just JR and I doing one show for 3 years. 2.5 years. 2.5 years. The first 2.5 years of the history of the Place to Be Wrestling Network. It was just him and I. And then he started Kevin Kelly. I started Main Event. And then we just blossomed into something so amazing. The creativity and the work that's been put into it for nothing. Not for nothing in terms of doing it for nothing, but just nobody gets paid. You know,
Right.
we put into it. And everybody just works their ass off. And I want to thank you three. And I want to thank everyone else that's participated and still does, and all you listeners out there. It's because of you. Otherwise, we'd be just talking talking about, we'd be like Baron von Raschke on the podcast bus. Just decrepit and where's my 104th podcast?
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, y'all made an awesome community, and so we just, we're just here for the ride, right?
It's amazing what everyone has done. So I thank you for that, and I thank you, Jenny, for your help, and Suze and Drew and everybody else that's either hosted a show, hosting one, guest on one, or downloads them. And let's shoot for 2 million in 2030. if I'm not sitting next to Baron von Raschke on the bus.
We got a lot more
Jesus,
shows
Baron, you
now.
stink. But thank you, Jenny. It means a lot, and it means a lot, everybody. Keep the Baron von Raschke Podbean feeds. No, it's been fantastic, and we're going to talk about some later when we do the plugs. We got fresh shows debuting, new stuff that's started over the last month, 2 months. So again, I thank you. I thank everybody, for those that have participated, to those that have supported us. Keep it up, because I'm proud of every single minute of content that goes up, because it's all unbelievable. So thank you for that.
A couple of those awesome shows that you can find include the debut episode of NWA Crock and Roll. It is with Sean Kidd, Dr. G, Callum McDougall, and they are joined by Jacob Williams to look at the Saturday night NWA shows from April of 1985. So that should be awesome. Proud of Sean for starting his own show.
Mm-hmm.
On the newest episode of The Evolution, Andy is joined by The Godfather, Nate Milton, to go over the long storied career of the man they call Sting in a 3-hour. I've heard it's good, and it's 3 hours, so just buckle up.
Yep.
The Chaps are back with another episode of the Special Relations and a special wedding-themed show. The NWA Saturday special has Scott and Dr. G, joined by you, Drew, to discuss the legacy of the U.S. Heavyweight Championship. How was that one?
Oh, it was
Awesome.
tremendous. Yeah, no, it was tremendous. Dr. G and I and Drew, great job. And it's going to be the first of a multi-episode series we'll do continuing this weekend and into next weekend about the rest of the secondary belts, and we'll talk about that at the end when we do plugs. But Drew, tremendous job. Thank you.
Thank you.
And guys, we did some Luger. So guess what?
All right.
That's Drew's obligation, so he can never ask for
Crisis
Luger on the
averted.
show ever.
Crisis averted.
You're welcome. 1 million downloads, and I got Luger off Jenny and the Gems. You're welcome.
Doing the Lord's work there, Scott.
Doing the Lord's work. Yes, I am. Amen to that. Sitting next to Stinky Baron on the bus.
Also doing the Lord's work on the pop feed, we got the Year in Pop, the Laugh-In Theater, the Great Debate, the Glenn Butler Podcast Hour Spectacular, Diamond Conversations, It Was a Thing on TV, A Piece of the Action, Blockbuster, Rewind, and a lot more stuff on our pop feed, so check that one out. I'll talk about my feed later at the end, but also you need to check out the North-South Connection podcast network. It is brought to you by JT and Chad and Aaron. So you can find Wrestling Warzone, No Holds Barred, The Extreme 3-Way Dance, Jeff Learns Wrestling, The Ruthlessly Aggressive Podcast, TNA Never Dies, and other stuff over on JT's feed, so check that one out. You can join our 2020 Stretch Project. We are determining the greatest WCW match ever, and so you have until New Year's Eve to do your research, promote your matches, and build your list. You can go to the Facebook page, or you can go to the Pro Wrestling Only message board and check out the lists and work on that. Time's a ticking. It's only July. There's a lot of matches to watch.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
On our social media pages, we have started our new tournament. It is called the Greatest Song from a Movie Tournament. So we are voting on those every day. And I think there are like 8. Seems like there are a lot of choices every day. Do y'all want to run through some of these?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Why not?
All right, we got Baby I Love Your Way versus Glory from Selma. Baby I Love Your Way is from Welcome to the Jungle. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Lord.
Yeah,
God.
Andy was scraping from the bottom of the fucking oil
Yeah,
tank.
this looks like a bunch of letters just put together. Okay, anyway.
Are these even words? What are we doing?
So Baby I Love Your Way versus Glory. Any opinions?
No.
Okay.
No opinion.
Particularly.
I always love
Just
good
not
Peter
going to
Frampton.
vote on that one. All right. I'll probably just not put that in the show. All right. Which fucking ones of these you're all going to fucking vote on then?
All right, fine. Baby, I Love Your Way. We'll do a take
Yeah, we
two,
love
and we'll
Peter
all
Frampton.
There
vote
you
for
go.
that.
We love Peter Frampton.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't realize it was the Frampton one. I didn't know that.
The Chain by Fleetwood Mac from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 versus I've Got You, McFly from Just My Luck.
Oh, it's Guardians. Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Soundtrack.
no-brainer.
It belongs on there. When do we get to Redbone, baby? Come and get your love.
I think there was one that you were bitching about, Matt. Which one was that?
I don't know. I bitch about a lot of things.
It's just about a lot of stuff. It's very big.
What was I thinking? Okay,
It turns
Twist
out
and Shout
people
from
off.
the Beatles from Ferris Bueller's Day Off versus Car Wash by Rose Royce from Car Wash.
Oh, those are both excellent songs.
Yeah.
Twist and shout.
Chuckling at Car Wash, Jenny. You gotta hear the song. It's awesome. Looking at the car wash.
I heard that song. Everybody on the earth has heard that song.
It's a great song. However, Twist and Shout, I mean, Ferris on the Float is one of the most iconic moments of the entire season in cinema. So you got to go with Ferris on that one.
All right, what about Build Me Up Buttercup from There's Something About Mary versus Again from Poetic Justice?
Poetic Justice is such a good movie too, but
You can't go against There's Something About Mary.
yeah, really.
Yeah.
Build Me Up Buttercup's a great song too.
Well done. You can check out placetobenation.com each and every day. We have new voices and fresh takes bringing you articles on topics in the worlds of wrestling, sports, and pop culture, including Trent's SmackDown on Fox Report, This Week in the WWE by John Crow, Polly's Perspective, Ben's Unpopular Opinion, and Matt's Disney live-action journey. So don't forget about the veteran columns as well, like Glenn Butler's Wednesday Walk Around the Web. Also, you can go over to placetobenation.com/Amazon, and that way you can shop at Amazon, and it helps us out with no cost to you. Moving on, back to our superstars on the Superstation. Magnum is back, and he is joined with race car driver Benny Person. Is anybody familiar with race car driver Benny Person?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Good driver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, good driver. He was an analyst on ESPN for years and years and years for NASCAR. Good personality.
He seemed like a nice dude, to be honest.
Yeah,
He really did.
Yeah, no, he's a
I
good
was
guy.
like, I don't got nothing bad to say about you. You seem like
no
a
way.
sweet man.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy.
Drives an Oldsmobile.
I
Okay.
never heard of him, but boy, he was friendly.
He
Yeah,
was.
no, he's a good guy. He was a good guy in NASCAR to put on the air.
And, I think that Magnum kind of popped for him, too, because he was talking about how he was a big race car fan. And he was like, if I had the chance, I want to drive a race car. So it was kind of cute to see Magnum like that.
And you gotta love that the sponsor was for Copenhagen Tobacco.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Hell yeah, it was. It was that or Skull. And if it was Skull, they would have got Harry Gant the Bandit. So because that's his gig. So and then Dusty would have had a skull hat on because he always wore a skull hat. So.
All right. And then he starts talking about how Dusty Rhodes is his best friend, and he is on the set of a movie with Willie Nelson, and it's in Tucson, I think he says, and they are going to go to a interview with Tony, with Dusty, and Willie Nelson on set. And I'm like, okay. Is this very odd? Has anybody seen this movie? It's called Stagecoach.
I have not.
I have not.
No, I don't know if it's a remake
It was
of
a
the.
remake. Yeah, it was a remake, I think.
So it's a remake of John Wayne Stagecoach? I didn't know they did
Yes.
a remake of.
Yes.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Willie says.
Did you? I think they get to who was starring in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was, who all did he say? Waylon Jennings.
Yeah,
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash.
Chris Christopherson.
Yeah.
Fucking thing's loaded. Wow, there was that. Now that is an exorbitant amount of weed on that fucking set.
Oh.
You got all these guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Wow. Keep the
Yeah,
trailer
so
closed.
yeah, I kind of want to see that movie now. Anyway, so they're like at outside of a hotel, and Tony is interviewing Dusty and Willie Nelson. Dusty talks about his dad and how they would go to these honky tonks. They were all on the road. He just kind of rambles, right, in that Dusty way, and he's like, I would go and I would work, and I wrestled Reggie Parks, and I got $25, and I bought a 6-pack. And then he talks about Willie's music, how much he loves Willie. They hang out together. They see each other. It was adorable. I was just loving all of this. Willie says that he looks at me through glassy eyes. So I thought that was cute. They're basically party buddies. I mean, you can kind of tell that.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
And then in a very surreal moment, for me anyway, Willie Nelson, Tony asked him, what music are you working on right now? And then Willie Nelson says, I've been working on this album, and I'm working on this song called Living in the Promised Land. And then he quotes the lyrics to Living in the Promised Land. And I was just like, all right. That was an odd moment.
Just the strangest thing you can do is just recite song lyrics to someone.
Yeah, it was
Like
real
that guy
weird.
at the coffee shop who recites poetry to some random stranger.
Yes.
And then Tony and Dusty were just like shaking their heads, like, "Yeah, man, that was deep."
All I could imagine through this whole thing was Dusty and Willie token up on Willie's tour bus.
Oh, there's no doubt.
And Dusty just having one of those weed-fueled, thought-provoking conversations with Willie Nelson. You ever just think about planes, man, and how they get up there?
Willie, what do you think about wrestling in a cage, baby?
How does that plane get up there, baby?
What do you think about wrestling in a cage? War games. What do you think, Willie? You could have a concert in a cage.
You ever just think about giraffes, man? How the hell did they get that neck that long, those giraffes?
Sounds like J.J. Walker. That's okay.
But Willie's so cool, right? He just, he's just like, whatever, man. I hang out with Dusty Rhodes and we get high and it's cool. But they look so happy.
And you were also paying attention vehemently to Tony's high school principal white sweater too.
Sure. Yeah. He looked real good. Don't worry about that.
Tony had to look like Tony. See, Tony can't blend in. He's got to be Tony. Like if Tony had on a David Allen Coe hat and a fucking half buttoned up flannel shirt, he'd look a little weird.
But that's his charm though. He's so nerdy and adorable.
Tony looked like he was wearing a bug. He looked like a narc.
You cool, man. I bet Willie wouldn't let him on the tour bus. Like, no, man.
You're a narc.
You're wearing a wire.
I think Dusty would vouch for Tony.
Tony Schiavone. Light it up, baby. Light it up.
And then to wrap up this, unless anybody has any other thoughts about this interview.
It was just a tremendous segment.
Yep.
What a round table of utter greatness in that table by the pool.
So good. Tony closes out the segment with, "Legends are made, not born."
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony. Legends light up.
So anyway, that was great. And so then we are back in the ring for our next match. It is for the National Heavyweight Championship. It is Dusty Rhodes versus Tully Blanchard with JJ. Matt, tell us about this match.
So like you said, it's for the NWA national title, which Dusty won, I think, at the end of '85. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he beat like Buddy Landell in like some phantom match or something like that? The title it was something like that, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, it was after Starrcade.
I think like Buddy Landell was fired, and then they basically just gave Dusty the belt, if I remember correctly. I feel like that's what happened.
Oh yeah, because it wasn't that. Was that when Landell was he no-showed a taping, and he was supposed to win the belt at the taping or something like that? Is that what that was?
It says on December 19th, 1985, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Rhodes was awarded the title in a phantom match after Buddy Landell was fired due to his drug problem.
He was bumming some off of Dusty and Willie.
Yeah, exactly. Buddy Landell had won the title at Starrcade against Terry Taylor and had the belt for 21 days, and then Dusty just kind of took it at a show in Albuquerque when they fired Buddy Landell for hanging out on Willie's bus.
Wow.
Yeah. So no, it was like it was he pretty much was. It was pretty much winning a tournament in Rio kind of thing there.
So how could Dusty get high with Willie and Buddy can't?
Well, Buddy was the fall guy. They caught Dusty. They caught Dusty and Willie, and Dusty said, "Oh, this is Buddy's, so you're fired."
Well, it's Dusty
because Dusty had the pull.
Yeah, Dusty had I got the stroke, baby. I run the pay window.
And Buddy Landell was government cheese nature boy, so
great value.
Right. An impoverished nature boy.
Can we make a t-shirt
I can't take credit for that. That's a Jake Williams line that I've been using every chance I get because it killed me the first time I heard it.
Jambalaya Jake needs credit for a t-shirt that says government cheese, buddy.
Oh my god.
So this match basically is a tale of like two halves. The first like 10 minutes or so are pretty tentative, super slow, A lot of leg work. Dusty going after Tully's leg, Tully going after Dusty's leg, vice versa. It's basically that for like 10 minutes. And at the 10-minute mark, when they start doing like the time counts and everything, you could kind of already tell that this was going to a draw.
Mm-hmm.
And like just really slow at that point. But it picks up at the end. When they hit like 5 or 6 minutes left, Dusty hits a belly to belly for a visual pin, but JJ distracts the ref. And then Dusty hits a suplex from the apron into the ring for a 3 count, but then Tully's leg was on the rope, so the match keeps going. And then there was another part where we get like a minute or so in where he's beating on Tully in the corner and he pushes Tommy Young aside, but then JJ trips him and Tully covers him. I thought that was good heel work from JJ.
Mm-hmm.
And Tully goes for a Thez press, which Dusty reverses into a Boston Crab, and then we get the time limit. And then after the match, Tully hits Dusty with a disgusting pile driver that he just crushes him with. That was the best part of the whole thing, to be honest. But I thought the opening like 10-15 minutes were slog, but the last 5 were pretty good, and I thought overall this was pretty disappointing. And I did have a question, and that was like, at this point, was it considered that like Dusty's best years were behind him as far as like match quality, or did he still have good stuff for this?
No, he definitely had good stuff left.
Sure. Like, I know the cage match Flair is good, but like I couldn't think of really anything else, you know.
He's got a couple real good matches with Tully. One of them in '86, and then one of them that Chad talked about on North-South Connection from '87. And I mean, and you guys are gonna laugh, but he's got a pretty good feud with Luger too in the summer of '87.
He does actually. He's right. He does.
Yeah, like it's not, they're not like blow away great matches or anything, but like they're pretty good. So he's still got some stuff.
Blow away.
I feel like the fact that this went 20 minutes was like way too long for Dusty at this point too. Like if this had been like 10 and then maybe do like a fuck finish or something, because you weren't changing the belt anyway, so just have like Dusty win by count out or do a DQ or something. Like it felt like, especially with the history between Dusty and the Four Horsemen, like you would have thought that this would have been like a short hate-filled brawl and not like a really tentative like opening 10 minutes and then all of a sudden with 5 minutes left it picks up, Like I would have rather seen like a 8-minute fast-paced fight than a 20-minute what we got, basically.
I don't know. I mean, normally I would agree with you, but there is something about this, and probably the something is Dusty, that I just really like this match. I was really, really surprised, and I really like Tully in it. It might be one of my favorite Tully matches, because I'm not, super high on him, but I thought he was pretty good in this. I feel like he knows Dusty really well, and he sells for Dusty really well. That pile driver at the end was gross and amazing way to end the match. Well, after the match, I thought JJ was really good, like, and subtle too. Like his interference isn't like a cornet type thing. It's more sly, and
he's not Baron von Raschke.
Yeah, exactly. Because Tully is, he's getting his leg worked over most of the match and is hurting most of the match. And JJ is not really encouraging him that much. He's just standing there like shaking his head every time Dusty gets him in a figure 4 or stomps on his leg or something. So, kind of subtle, but great stuff with JJ. And like you said, towards the end, it does pick up quite a bit. I thought Dusty moved around really well. I mean, it's not fast paced, but he knows how to use time in the ring. He knows how to use himself and do those little extras that make it not boring, for me anyway. That Boston Crab at the end looked pretty wicked, and I thought Tully did a really good job of seeming out of it. And honestly, I kind of didn't even mind the ending, which is odd for me. So this is a very unexpected match for me. What did you think, Drew?
Yeah, it was okay. I don't know. Their matches, they have a lot of matches together, and they're pretty hit and miss. Like there's a couple, like the '86 one and the '87 one, that, man, when they hit, they really hit. But I don't know, when they have a ladder match and they have that barbed wire match, and then like this one, I don't know. It was fine. It just, I think I've, because I just watched that '87 one for the first time recently, so I think I was holding it to that standard, and it wasn't that. So I don't really know how fair I was to it, but I was a little disappointed. I just kind of, I think, like Matt, I found the first half of it just hard to follow, kind of boring.
Do you agree, Scott?
Believe it or not, I do not. I love this match. I think for a reason that's different than what I would usually like a Crockett match, but this might be a sleeper to be in my top 100 ballot.
Wow.
Maybe in the 80s. I'll tell you why. And you hit on it, Suze, when you were talking about Dusty. No, is this 1980 Dusty? No, of course it's not. But I feel like Dusty is no dummy, clearly, and he knows what his strengths and weaknesses are. And the selling of the legs in the first 10 minutes, however little slow it may be, is kind of typical Crockett, but it's pretty good psychology, because lest we forget the whole storyline we've had for the entire fall of 1985, leading into Starrcade when Flair and Ole and Arn beat the fucking shit out of him and busted his ankle, to lead to the Hard Times promo and to Starrcade. So the fact that they were still kind of selling it was actually pretty smart. And, remember, Tully's still feeling the effects of the arguably one of the greatest matches of all time, the I Quit cage match at Starrcade with Magnum. So they both were still a little worse for wear, and they showed it. So the fact that they were still selling their war wounds from Starrcade impressed me.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the storytelling. I do agree with you, Suze. Maybe all 20 minutes wasn't necessary. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. However, I'm okay with the fact that they took the time to tell the story. I had no problem with that. You got two pros who know their shit and know what they got to do to fill 20 minutes, rather than what we get when JR and I watch 20-minute draws at these MSG house shows, which sometimes is like watching snow melt. This was not it. So I really, really like this match a lot. And again, I may watch it again to really think about it, but I could see him being a dark horse somewhere between 80 and 95 on my ballot, because it was really, really well done for different reasons than you would think a match between these two guys would be.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, so we are going to go back to Magnum, and this time he is with Jim Crockett Jr., and he announces the bunkhouse. No, they talk about the bunkhouse stampede that has already happened, and then they announce the first Crockett Cup. Then, in the very, very odd thing that happens, I have questions about everything that happens after this, but like they talk about his dad, and like they named it after his dad. They want to do this tournament. Of course, we've talked about the Crockett Cup before, and they cut to talking about the Superdome, because apparently arenas all over the country are vying for a chance to host the Crockett Cup, and that includes Superdome in New Orleans. So then they go to this boardroom, and then what do they call him? The president?
Executive VP
of the Superdome. And then this other guy. Who was the other guy? Because I had my captions up, and it covered up his name.
Joel Watts?
Joel Watts.
Joel Watts. Yeah, Joel Watts. That's Bill's son.
Bill's son,
Yeah, who's an absolutely abysmal interviewer. So
are you sure he's not an actual robot, or
no,
an alien that is pretending to be a person?
Yeah, no, they were a robot talking to another robot. That segment was literally, I would rather sit in a colonoscopy office with Baron von Raschke than have to ever listen to those two guys talk to each other ever again. It was fucking terrible. Joel Watts would do commentary. He trusted his fucking kids to do too much. It's not like fucking Fritz with his kids or Vern with his kid. At least they could wrestle. Joel Watts, all he did was cut video vignettes and announce poorly. But he did a lot of Mid-South shows with Jim Ross in '85. Drew knows what I'm talking about. And it's fucking horrible. I mean, you're right, Jenny. It's literally like staring at a mannequin with a transistor. He's terrible. And this Johnson guy, Bob Johnson. I mean, is that even his real name? Is he on the lam?
The second most generic name in history behind John Smith.
John Smith. Bob Johnson. It's fucking. It's terrible. It's terrible.
And such a like. What does this have to do? What do we care about the Superdome? It's like a commercial for the Superdome.
Didn't you hear Bob Johnson? He was ecstatic about the Superdome. We're very excited about the Superdome hosting the Crockett Cup. I mean, we're just ecstatic about it. We're very excited.
Superdome. Tell me more about the great events at the Superdome.
That's why Joel Watts did it, because his promotion Mid-South did stuff at the Superdome, so they were. But that's exactly how he talks.
Oh, Jim Ross, this is so great. Where's Terrence Taylor, and Steve Williams, Dr. Diaz? Oh, he's fucking horrible. He's horrible. And I mean, I get that that's why Joel Watts did it, because 85, obviously 86, Mid-South was still its own territory. It hadn't become UWF yet, and Crockett hadn't bought it yet. But obviously they were working with them. And that's why Joel Watts did that interview, because his dad was pretty tight with Bob Johnson and the Superdome, because he did a ton of shows, Mid-South shows there over the years. But that's pretty much what it was. We're half kidding, but it pretty much was a commercial for the Superdome. It's pretty much what it was. It wasn't meant for anything else.
I could understand that if it's like they're announcing it was going to be at the Superdome, but it's like they hadn't even struck a deal yet. They're like, we're in the running to be one of the places.
Yeah, they had struck a deal, but the idea was supposed to be like, well, this Crockett Cup is going to be this huge thing, and so there's all these different these stadiums around the country who are putting in bids for the Superdome or the Crockett Cup, because everybody wants it there. So I don't know.
It's either going to be at the Superdome or at a parking lot of a Save Mart in Des Moines, Iowa.
No in between.
You couldn't get anybody else besides Bob fucking Johnson, like somebody who didn't have the enthusiasm of a cadaver. Jesus.
He made those two were so dull that they made Jim Crockett Jr. seem charismatic and interesting.
Yes. That
Which is unbelievable. He seemed like Dusty Rhodes compared to old Bob and Joel.
We're gonna have the Super Bowl here in 1990, and nobody cares.
And then that game was played, and nobody cared about the game either. So
Jesus.
All right, and then we go to a baseball player named Gaylord Perry, ringside with Tony. Anybody familiar with Gaylord Perry?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard the name before.
Famous for throwing the spitball.
Spitball. Yep. He played for fucking 11 teams. I think the only team he didn't play for was your Sox, Suze. I don't think he was ever on the Red Sox.
I'd take Gaylord Perry on the Red Sox right now. He's better than who they have right now.
He's got more guts than David Price. Well, you got rid of him anyway, so thank God. But Gaylord Perry, former Brave. That's another reason why I think he was one of the Braves radio announcers. So, and of course TBS, the Braves. So, I think that's why he was on. Even though the 86 Braves were fucking terrible.
That's why he was there, so he didn't have to watch the games.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he basically just says, hey, I like that tag team. And then he said, baseball's going to start soon, and that's pretty much it. So, kind of pointless, not sure while we're doing this. Just looks like somebody's buddy that gets to be on TV.
He should have doctored the interview like he did his baseballs.
Exactly.
Burn. All right. He has a giant nose. Anyway.
Yes, he does.
Our main event, it is Ric Flair versus Ron Garvin. Scott, tell us about this one.
Well, it was for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, one observation, I thought by this point that the 10 pounds of gold had been replaced by the big gold belt, but Flair's still wearing the 10 pounds of gold. I thought by the time the Horsemen had formed, maybe the Horsemen hadn't formed yet. I thought they had formed in January. Maybe it was later in the year. He had the big gold belt by then, but he still has the 10 pounds.
It was the next month at Battle of the Belts.
Yeah, he debuts the big. So it's the last vestige of the epic 10 pounds of gold, which is a tremendous belt. I don't know who voted for this, but I'll tell you something. For those that have known me a long time as a wrestling fan, I've never been the biggest Ronnie Garvin fan. His wrestling is his promos are terrible. For a guy who apparently is from Detroit, Michigan, he's got a thicker accent than Dino fucking Bravo, but he's from Detroit, Michigan somehow, but he talks like this. So I don't know. Anyway, but I got to be honest. Counting what JR and I have watched on the Place B podcast with the MSG house shows and matches I've watched here, Ronnie Garvin, I'm sure Drew's smiling right now. Ronnie Garvin is a damn good wrestler.
Yes. And
this match, I don't think, I'm actually have it on now again while we're recording, and I'm looking at it again. I don't know if they actually planned. I don't know if they sat back and actually worked this match, or if they just decided, why don't we go out there and just do it? Because they beat the fucking shit out of each other in this match. Mm-hmm. The chops are stiff. The punches are stiff. They're fucking choking each other. Garvin's grabbing his fucking nose. I mean, Flair's got a big nose. Not Gaylord Perry size, but he has a big nose. And he's fucking raking at his face, and he's doing these hard, like, body scissors, and holy shit. And they're doing these bridges. Like, the Tully Dusty match I'm not confirmed if it's on my ballot. This match is going on my ballot. Holy shit, was this match great. 14 and a half minutes. Flair keeps the belt with a knee to the back. 14 and a half minutes. Garvin's foot was actually on the rope during the cover, but Tommy Young had gotten kind of rustled around at the end, and he didn't see it. But I just got to say that I'm really starting to gain a great appreciation for Ronnie Garvin. I still think his stick work is garbage, but that's okay. Most guys, Manny Fernandez is a good wrestler and a shitty fucking promo guy too, so shit happens. But I have been so impressed. Again, combined with the stretch that he was in the WWF in 89, 90, and JR and I have watched a decent amount of MSG house show matches. And of course his match with Greg Valentine at, the 90 Rumble. Ronnie Garvin's a good worker. His hair kind of blows because he's got this weird flat.
Yeah,
he's always had this
real
flat
weird.
top mullet thing, which it looks like a Frankenstein head. Aside from that, man, I mean, he's just smacking Flair in the fucking face. I mean, it's not. I mean, we're talking like Taker potatoes here. I mean, there's no fucking around in this match. They are absolutely assassinating each other, and I loved it. That's a heavyweight title match that you get like out of nowhere, and you wouldn't see a match like this on a WWF show by any stretch. Definitely not TV. Maybe a house show, but definitely not TV. I mean, we knew Flair was going to win, obviously. This was not going to be a show for title changes. This was kind of almost like a Taboo Tuesday or something. So you knew that titles weren't going to change here. But obviously this sets Ronnie Garvin up for stuff down the road. Tommy Young is the king of NWA ref bumps, and he's good at them. But, we get a couple of phantom pins. Garvin gets a roll-up. Doesn't happen. But I will say, guys, at least the Superstation was in gold. At least it kind of had a suave color. And it wasn't like, purple or we do like purple, but like, some other weird color. At least it was gold. But I mean, I was just so impressed. This match, I actually messaged Chad while we were on the air. I said, you got to watch this match. It's damn good. I'm serious. It's going on my ballot. I don't know where, maybe in the 50s, low 60s, but it's going on my ballot because this is a legitimate hidden gem that I don't know if anybody's ever watched. And if you haven't, you gotta watch it. I mean, it is amazing, top to bottom. Flair, great heel champion that he is, and Ronnie Garvin he puts his foot on the pedal every time he gets in the ring. He's just crushing Flair, and It's great to watch. Highly recommend it. A zillion stars. Amazing match.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And I knowing me, I say a lot of flippant things. I've probably said flippant things about Ronnie Garvin. I don't recall them, but I'm sure that they've happened. And I take back every single one of those things that I've ever said because, good God, he was pornographically good in this match. And their fight, they look shoot mad. Like, they look like they really want to hurt each other. Like, it is so intense. Those punches and chops, everything. And I was stunned, honestly, because you don't see this very often. It doesn't normally look like this, especially because I've never heard of it. Like, it's never, watching it, I'm like, how is this a hidden gem? Like, I was stunned. And I would be curious to see what Chad thinks about it as well, but good Lord. You can't even name all the moves. It was one thing. It was perfectly, like, paced. Very few slow parts.
Yep.
I thought they worked the time limit really well, and you never really knew what you were going to get at the end because Ronnie was so good, and he did get the visual pin several times, twice at least. So I was just blown away, stunned, and this will probably make my list as well if I end up making one. Amazing. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, basically echoing what both of you guys said. This was ridiculously good. Just Ronnie Garvin living up to the name Hands of Stone, just chopping the shit out of Flair. This match was a 15-minute chop fest.
Yes.
That's what this was. And, by Flair 1986 standards, I mean, this was a sprint. Ric Flair in 1986 doesn't go under 15 minutes all the time on a big show. So that was interesting to see Flair work kind of a fast-paced match. But holy hell, they just beat the shit out of each other for 15 minutes, and it was awesome. Yeah, if you have not seen this, watch this, because it was incredible.
You agree, Drew?
Yeah, I sure do. Ron Garvin is awesome. They had a match on 605. It aired
end of 85. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, the 28th, 12/28, which I actually like better than this one.
I remember that
just
match.
It's awesome. I mean, it's cooler just because it's a little bit, it's in that studio, so everything just hits that much harder. Same thing. It's like 12, 14 minutes, just nonstop action. They're just going off on one another. And then, of course, like the title change in 87, that's an unreal good match too. This feud from late 85 through 87, that kind of, it comes and goes, and they'll, like, around this time there's a lot of fan cam matches from a lot of house show matches from this time period, cage matches and stuff. All of them are awesome, but I love the way the feud kind of ebbs and flows to where it'll be hot for a while, it'll cool off, and then in 87 it heats back up again, like with the Ronnie Garvin getting burned, and then Flair and Jimmy Garvin are feuding, and there's a match I watched last night. It's a tag match, the Garvins versus Flair and Luger from the studio, and Garvin busts Flair's chest open. He's bleeding from the chest just because the chops are so hard, and it's like
shit.
These two are incredible, and this, Scott, like you said, no chance. They probably didn't even speak to one another before the bell rung. You know what I mean? They just went out and went back and forth, and you can feel that. There's this organic kind of tension between the two, and man, yeah, this is great. This is one I had seen before. I liked it a lot more on this time watching it, but yeah, awesome match.
It's real hard to get me to even remotely root against Flair, but I ain't gonna lie, I kind of was like, I would not get my feelings hurt if Ronnie won this. I mean, I knew he wasn't gonna, but wow. I mean, really amazing performance. And I am definitely going to go out of my way to watch more of this shit. I mean, like,
Mhm.
I need to watch all of this. I really do because, wow. And
good.
you know, I think we should mention how good they look too. Like, everybody looks real, like, big and trim and sharp.
Yeah.
I love it. I am enamored of this one. So,
And you got the great sound at the end of Crockett screaming, "His foot was on the rope!"
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Crockett
good
was
grief.
losing. You know, and Tony and David, I don't want to say laid out, but they were very selective with their commentary.
Yes.
I think
Yeah, great
more
call.
Great point. I agree with that
Yeah.
too.
because I felt they were a little bit chatty through most of the other matches, but this one, I think they were both just kind of feeling the impact of those hits and seeing it and like kind of were stunned, and I don't blame them. They didn't want to talk over something as amazing as this, and I appreciated their laying out a little bit. Very abrupt ending here too, because we had the kind of confusing stuff at the end, and then Flair just dips the fuck out, and then we just cut right back to Magnum and Linda, and they're just like, all right, good night, that's it, goodbye. There's no, holy shit or anything. So, um, abrupt ending, but a quick watch. It's like 90 minutes, so put it on in the background or sit there and get lost in it like I did. So a true hidden gem. I love this show. I'm really glad we watched it. Um, and it's a good palate cleanser from last episode.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So that brings us to our awards, and we will start with the Diamond Award with our favorite match of the night. I don't think there's any doubt that it's Flair and Garvin.
I would agree.
No way. No way.
Yeah.
The-
But I mean, I think every match was good in its own way.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that tag match was, legitimately an awesome match.
Mhm. Our cubic zirconia match. I don't think there's any question it would be the Road Warriors tag match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Linda Curry and Magnum.
Uh,
Linda Curry and Magnum in the
well-
lack of chemistry match.
Yeah.
that's a fair point, sir. Uh, the Ruby Award is our MVP. I'm giving it to one Ron Garvin, sir.
That's what I had.
Yep. Same here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Flair is one of those ones that he's just so good all the time. Not that he doesn't deserve the award, but he would get it all the time. So
Mhm.
the people that work with him, sometimes she get it. And Ronnie Garvin, except for that hair, Ronnie Garvin was on his game tonight.
Big time.
On his game, big time.
Okay, and fine. I don't think we've all agreed on awards before, but we'll see. Our last one is the Opal Award, which is highlights, and I'm gonna go with the awkwardly charming Magnum performance with the weird little interviews. I'm gonna go with the smoke session between Willie Nelson and
Yeah.
Dusty Rhodes, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
hopefully Tony Schiavone.
Yeah.
The hot crowd for the Rock and Roll Express, they just were losing their shit. Anything Dusty Rhodes, honestly. A surprise Tully match for me was a highlight. I really enjoyed enjoying him, if that makes sense, because I normally just like whatever about him. So he was good on this night as well. And also some, I'm gonna say, fangirlish commentary by David Crockett.
Good way to put it.
What do you think, Drew? No?
Wait, what? Hello?
Do you want to do the Opal Award?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine.
My headphones fell off.
He
Yeah,
couldn't fit it on his Ronnie Garvin mullet. That's what.
yeah, I agree with all those. David Crockett does need a mention. He was awesome tonight. Whip him like a dog. Come on. And I mean, Jim Cornette was actually really good. And you know what? I actually wanted to give a special mention to J.J. Dillon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He was awesome, and
Oh,
he's
for sure.
so good. like comparing him to Jim Cornette. Both are, some of the best ever, but he's so subtle in his sleaziness, and like when he'll trip someone or something. It's just so casual, just a quick swipe of the arm. It's so, and then and then he always fixes his tie or turns around and wanders away or something. Just so good. He's awesome too.
What do you think, Matt?
Bob Johnson? No. The Dusty and Willie segment for sure, and the opening tag, and the main event were the highlights for sure for me.
Bring it home, Scott.
On the road again, Dusty, Willie, and Tony. Because I could just see Tony like sitting very prim and proper, like in a trailer, while Dusty and fucking Willie, just have a giant bowl going or whatever, and Tony's like, that stuff looks interesting. Might I try some, please?
I don't partake in such childish things.
Come on, brother. Yeah.
I'm wearing a fancy sweater, sir.
Yeah. This is cashmere. Look at my mustache. No, let's not make fun of Tony. We love Tony.
That's gonna be my next put down. I'm wearing a fancy sweater, sir.
No, that was awesome just because it's Willie and Dusty and Tony. The holy trinity of Jenny right there. All you needed was Arn, who was probably in the trailer. But yeah, a lack of Arn on this show is hurtful, but that's okay. At least the live crowd got to see Double A. But yeah, that segment and the main event, and I still love Tully and Dusty for different reasons, but that main event is just, that's legitimately a match that just came out of nowhere for me as, holy crap, this match is amazing. Yep. It must go on my ballot. So, yeah.
All right. Well, at least we've covered this show, and we've got some of our ballot slots picked out. So, a job well done. The band will get back together again soon. But before we do, let's talk about what we got going on. Matt, what are you working on?
Episode 3 or 4, I believe, of Highway to the Impact Zone should be up as you're listening to this. We looked at Impact number 3 and pay-per-view number 100, and those were not great watches. So, but listen to the podcast anyway. It's very fun to talk about how bad those shows were. So definitely check that out. And piece of the action, the last episode, Scott Criscuolo was on, and we watched The Expendables, and that was a good time, right, Scott?
Oh, it was a blast. We made fun of. There's only one thing that maybe was worse than Ronnie Garvin's hair, and that's Sly's face. Which kind of looked like Baron Von Raschke's ass, probably. So
yeah,
it was rough, but no, take a listen. It's really good. It's really good.
And the next episode of Piece of the Action, our friend from across the pond, Ben Locke, will be on, and we will be watching Speed, which is a movie I have not seen in a very long time.
I love that movie.
Looking forward to watching that for sure. And you can follow me on Twitter at msouza1991.
I find it interesting you have 2 Keanu Reeves movies already.
I know, right? And not one Schwarzenegger movie.
Yeah.
kind of interesting.
Very, very telling. What about you, Drew?
You can follow me on Twitter at _Burning Spirits. Like Scott mentioned and you mentioned, I was on the NWA Saturday special with Scott and Dr. G. Had a lot of fun on that. I've got another GWCW Pod Blast coming out. We actually did not record last week. We're recording tomorrow night on the Marcus of Queensberry, Ric Flair versus Regal series from 1994. And I will have a new You Don't Know Billy Jack episode coming out shortly as well. I'm recording that next week. I believe I am going to record that with my wife. So
nice.
We will see. Yeah. It's not nice for her, so she's already mad about it. But
well, that'll be even funner.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do just want to say a special congratulations to Scott and to Justin. Really, really cool. 1 million downloads. That's really awesome. And
thank you.
like Jenny mentioned, you guys created such a cool community. I'm really happy to be a part of it. I'm really grateful you guys allowed me to join, and everyone on here, it's so cool because we kind of have the freedom to like do whatever we want, and you guys are always so supportive, and there's no ego either. Like you guys do it because you love wrestling and pop culture, and just contributing to some kind of greater conversation. So it's really cool. Thanks a lot, and congratulations.
Thank you, Drew. Thank you very much. And again, JR and I will get more into it. We'll talk more about things on this coming week's episode of the Place to Be podcast. But thank you, Drew. That means a lot. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. What else you got going, Scott?
Check me on Twitter at PTBPodfather. Again, please, if you found this show, then you know that you obviously know about the Place to Be Wrestling Network. It's amazing. It's part of me. So stay with it. Listen to everything on it, because everything on it's great. So I know next we'll have another episode of the NWA Saturday Special. The Doctor and I will have the aforementioned Sean Kidd on, and we will talk about the legacy of the World Television Championship. Last week we talked about the U.S. title. Next week we're going to talk about the tag. This coming weekend we'll talk about the TV title. JR and I, with the next episode of the Place to Be podcast this coming week. Is it a house show? No. I think it's the 91 Rumble we're up to now. We're starting 1991. So, and then next week will be a new episode of the main event as well. So, again, follow me at PTB Podfather, and just stay with the feed. It's amazing.
It is amazing. I have one as well. It's not as amazing, maybe, but it's pretty good. It's called The Jenny Position.
It is.
And my shows are on there. They're called Geek and Sassy. They're called Talking Pop, The Journey Through Infinity. You heard about Pluto, Bianca's First Time, and I also have the Brother Sister Rewatch, which I'm not on, but it is a great show. They're going through The Office, and they're wrapping up season 6 right now. So check that out with Kevin and Mary. Also here on the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, I have a show called PTB NXT. Jake and Tim and I are going through the spring of 2014. So we went through 3 episodes of NXT TV. And then my other show is called Talking WCW. Our last episode was on Goldberg. Tim and Greg Phillips and I had a fun talk about Goldberg. Learned a lot on that one, so check it out. I don't think I've guested on anything else recently. So that should be it. You can follow me on Twitter at Jenny Position, and I have a Facebook page as well. So that's it for Jenny and the Gems. We will see you next time. Good night.
We have no shoes to wear, no place to call our home, only this cross to bear. We are the multitudes, lend us a helping hand. Is there no love anymore, living in the promised land? Sand and room for everyone living in the promised land, and room for everyone living in the promised land.